The following presentation was recorded live at CALLERLAB's 20th Annual Convention. This is tape number 19, Use and Care of Your Voice.
But we're going to start right in with vocal technique. Now, probably, how many people here have been in a church choir? Church choir. Okay, how many were in some kind of chorus in high school, junior high? Vast number. All right, how many are singing in a professional choir right now? You have enough to do, right? Okay, all right. Some of the things I'm going to say may seem to conflict with what you may or may not have heard from choir directors, so bear with me. I want you to know, in my background, I was a paramedic, so I've seen some of this stuff live and in person, a little more than I would have liked to in some cases. So I'm going to try to be very untechnical, but explain it to you, because I think it's important when you study voice that it makes sense to you. And a lot of times when you get a bunch of vocal exercises, you don't know why you're doing them. So doing them kind of stops after a while. We're going to start off. There's 3 aspects in voice. It's very simple. It's not easy. Okay? There is breathing. There is placement. There is resonance. That's it. Okay? Start with breathing. We all do it all the time. But very few of us really know how it happens. Okay? So we're going to break it apart so you understand the whole process. Anybody ever heard about their diaphragm muscle? Saying from the diaphragm. Anybody heard of that? Raise your hand if you have. Oh, yes. Okay. Where is it? Here? Is it here? Yeah? Okay, you're right. It's a muscle, and actually in the body it's black. It's a very dark, dark muscle, and it sits in a cone or dome shape. All right? It's attached to your rib cage all the way around. So you kind of have to picture this in 3D. It moves up and down, and it is the major muscle in breathing. Now, anybody know where your lungs are? You guys are so scared. Where's your lungs? Yeah. Yeah, they are. You're right. They're there. Actually, they're there. They're toward the back because your heart and your stomach and other organs are in front. But they're toward the back. But they're inside your rib cage, right? Okay, now, I want you to picture that for a minute. You got your lungs back there and you got your diaphragm here, right? Okay. Do your lungs touch your diaphragm? I have a no. How many no's do I have? How many yeses do I have? How many? I'm so scared I'm not going to say anything. Vast majority. Okay. No, the lungs, they just barely touch the diaphragm. Okay? So basically the answer is no. Does that puzzle you any? Puzzled me. If it doesn't touch the diaphragm, then how on earth does the diaphragm muscle control the air going in and out of your lungs? I will tell you that it does. Anybody figure that one out? No coaches or teachers are allowed to answer this one. Well, yeah, God did make it that way. It creates a vacuum. Where? In your rib cage. That's right. That's exactly right. Now be careful. A lot of people think that the vacuum is created in your lungs. But if it was, you wouldn't be sitting here, would you? Because your lungs have got to stay at least a third full in order to breathe. So if the vacuum was created in your lungs, you'd be in big trouble. Yes, it creates a vacuum. Now, when that vacuum is created, God in His great wisdom created something called air pressure changes. So it's kind of like if a bunch of us tried to squeeze into a room that was too small, eventually some of us would really want to get out fast, right? We could kind of describe that as the air pressure in the room would be real high, and the air pressure outside the room would be real low. So most of us would try to get out of the room so it would be low. That's kind of what happens. The air comes down, the diaphragm muscle moves down, which creates this vacuum. Nature tries to fill it. The air comes in, but not into the vacuum. It goes where we want it to go, in the lungs. Okay? Lungs are now full. The air pressure is very high in the lungs. Okay? And less outside, so now I'm ready to exhale. And that's really how it works. A real good way to picture this is if you take a glass jar and you take popsicle sticks and you make a cross and you hang 2 balloons on either end with the mouth of the balloon open, and you take a piece of rubber and you seal the top of the jar. Now, no more air can go in and out of that jar, right? But if you push down on that piece of rubber, the balloons are going to fill up. Kind of fun. That's how it works. It's kind of indirect. Now, what does this mean for us as singers? Because you are singers. You're callers, but you do an awful lot of singing. So I'm going to talk to the singer section of you right now. Well, it means a couple things. It means that the diaphragm moves first, and that's what causes the air to come into your body. It's not the other way around. Okay? Lots of us are busy trying to take lots of air in to move the diaphragm. Will not work. That will not work for you. So if you sat in choir or you sat in chorus and you heard, here comes a high note, here comes a long phrase, big breath. It's not going to work. What you're going to do is overload the system and blow your cords apart. Okay? If you're going after a high note and you tank up and you accelerate, you're going to blast it open. Okay? It's not going to work for you. What we're talking about here is control. And control does not mean holding the air back. That's kind of fun, too. Control to me had always meant that. If I'm controlling my temper, which I do a lot, I had to hold it back to keep it from coming out. So a lot of times when we talk about breath control, people get the idea that what we're talking about is holding the air back or controlling the flow or slowing it down. Okay? Anybody have that idea that that's what that was about? Come on. You can tell me. Oh, there's one brave soul in the back. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Most people do think that, okay? Or speeding it up if it's loud or high, okay? We do get that idea, and it makes perfect sense because those words mean that to us. But in actuality, what breath control is all about is sending the air up. Period. Not slowing it down, not speeding it up, sending it. Now, got air coming up from the lungs, right? Okay? Something in your body does hold back or slow down the airflow. Anybody want to guess what it is? Diaphragm? No. Vocal cords? Absolutely. The vocal cords do. Okay? It's kind of hard to do this with this, but imagine this is your windpipe. Your vocal cords sit this way. Okay? They open and shut across the windpipe. And they have the ability to hold back or slow down the airflow. Can you feel your vocal cords? You're right. No, you cannot. Okay, they have no feeling, which is why when you have true laryngitis, you feel fine. You just sound awful, right? Okay, but you feel fine. It doesn't hurt till it starts to spread to the muscles around, and then you have pain, all right? In fact, while you're sitting there quietly, politely listening, they're fluttering the whole time. Okay, they're just not touching. Here's a top view. Okay, they're doing this right now, and you can't feel that. Now, when I want to make a sound, they touch, and they continue to flutter or vibrate. Vibrato. Anybody know that word? Vibrato? Nice Italian fancy word for hearing something waver in the sound. If I don't kill the sound man, the difference between a voice with vibrato and without, here's without. Hold your ears. Okay, it's sharp. It almost sounds like some kind of a siren or your wake-up alarm on your radio clock. With vibrato, all right, now what you do as a trained singer, now you don't want to get to the degree I am because I do opera. Anyway, be that as it may. What we do in opera singing, which is years and years and years and years, so don't worry. If you study with a teacher, they're not going to turn you into an opera singer unless you got 20 years to spend. But what happens is you learn to allow the vibrato, and it becomes very natural, and it has a natural pulse and a natural rhythm. Okay? Everybody has it. It's natural for you to have it. It is unnatural for children to have it, because children's vocal cords are not fully developed. Okay? Rarely in an adult is there a vocal problem that would create no vibrato. So basically it's something you might want to have in your sound. It tells you that your throat muscles are relaxed. In order to do what I just demonstrated, I had to tense up the muscles around my vocal cords so that they couldn't vibrate. Okay? I will tell you that if you sing constantly with no vibrato, it can be damaging to your voice because you're constricting the vocal cords. You're not allowing them to be relaxed and loose the way they need to be in a mature vocal cord. So that's something to think about. Okay, breathing. Did you know that you have a second diaphragm? How many people knew that? I know you did. Anybody else know that? Well, you do. The problem, you see, is that this wonderful diaphragm, the upper diaphragm, the one that's in the thoracic area, is involuntary, which basically means you can't control it without creating a problem. So if somebody said to you while you're singing, that's not supported enough, can you support that more, or support from your diaphragm? If you heard those things in choir or chorus, what most of us try to do is tighten this up or make it rigid or push it, or who knows what else we might come up with. And what that basically is going to do is create a lot of tension for you, okay? And you'll get a shaking, pulsing, very quick vibrato like Glinda the Good Witch of the North, or you might even warble a bit, okay? Who knows, depending on how much pressure you've put. And that creates problems in your sound. It also will limit your range, all right? So that's something we really would like to avoid. God in His good wisdom gave us a second diaphragm. It is called the pelvic or false diaphragm, and it hangs suspended between your hips. Now I got a little exercise for you. Wake you up. Would everybody stand up for a second? Oh boy, there's a happy group. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to pretend that your finger is a match. And all you're going to do is blow it out real quick like this. Do you feel something moving someplace in the lower area of your body? Okay, now what I want you to do is put your hand where it's moving, okay? And I want you to do it again, or continue to do it until you have figured out which way it moves when you blow out. Go for it. And when you've figured it out, you can sit down. So those people that are left standing, we're going to laugh at. Hey, anytime. That's what I'm here to do, annoy everybody equally. Except the people in the back who can't sit down anyway. Smart group. Okay. How many people think that when you blew out, the muscle moved in? Okay. How many people think that when you blew out, the muscle moved out? The first group is right. It moves in. Now, is the second group wrong? No. It is very possible that your muscle did, in fact, move out. This is wrong. Okay? We really would ideally like it to move in. Okay? Now, some people have, through a number of years and heard a bunch of things in choir or, whatever, have learned or trained themselves to push out or push down. Okay, there is a school of teaching that teaches you to push down while you're singing. I wouldn't, if I were you, do that, okay? Because it's contrary to the way that the whole muscle system actually functions. And what you'll find when you do that, it's kind of like going, okay? When you do that, that's exactly what you're doing. So to some degree, you might notice something happening to your voice. Anybody notice that effect when you're singing? You guys are really brave. Not. Okay. So basically, what you really want to happen is for this muscle to come in, all right, as the air goes out. Kind of a circular idea. Take the match thing and extend it this time like this. Basically, keep blowing and see if you can feel that muscle pull in and up. Give it a try. Just blow. You can stand up if you want to. You might feel better. Okay? That's the idea. When we're singing, basically we want the air to come out because that's what carries the sound. If you're holding the air back or in, we're not going to hear it. Okay? And you guys have even more problem because you have to talk, you have to teach, you have to sing, and you have to call. Frankly, I don't know how you do it. I'm amazed. I really am. I'll be honest with you. It's really amazing to me. So you've got to really, really take excellent care of your voice. And you do it for an average of, what, 2.5 hours on the average? Some of these festivals, I know, you really go full tilt all day. So you really have a lot of reason to take care of your voice because you're using it an awful lot. All right? So it's important that you think about these kinds of things. All right? I'm just giving you a general overview. Now, let's get some exercises that might help you experience correct breathing. All right? One of the things we want to do is that as you inhale, basically what happens, and this is the technical part, wake up. Chest rises slightly. In order to make way, intercostal muscles, you don't have to remember this at all, just remember the picture in your head, okay, that the ribs basically act like Venetian blinds. They open up to leave more room so that the lungs can expand. Okay, we want this. This is a good thing. Chest up, ribs open. All right, so the feeling of breathing is 3D, all the way around, not just in one place. You might feel this thing move down and out comfortably. Okay, so if you want to, now, you can stand up and try this. If you're a little embarrassed or you don't want to try it right now or you just haven't quite woken up, try it later on when nobody's looking at you. Of course, it is a challenge to do it in front of people. You can stand up, put one hand on the rib, and the other hand down here. Okay, and what you want to feel when you inhale is that both areas go out. Nice deep breath, and you feel both areas. Sometimes what happens is you'll get one or the other, or one will move first and then the other one finally makes it. Eventually what you want is both at the same time. Okay? Does it feel good? All right, in and out. Now, an exercise that works with this. Now, let's see what happens when you breathe out. Let's pretend you're going to sing. So I want you to take a deep breath, and then I want you to go shh as you exhale. And I want you to notice what your ribs do. Okay, stop, breathe in. Now, strong sound, strong. Good one, good one, good one. And when you feel anything collapse, quit. Now, here's the hard part of this exercise. This is a breathing exercise I use a lot. I will oftentimes line students up along the edge of something. For example, right over here, there's a real nice edge, and you just kind of get real friendly with the edge. You kind of line yourself up so that your head touches, your shoulder blades touch, and between your fanny touches. Otherwise, I don't care if anything else touches. If the small of your back does or doesn't, it doesn't matter, okay? And you do this exercise, and the trick is that that SH sound has to be constant and the same dynamic level. Dynamic level meaning the same loudness. So you wouldn't want it to fade out. Now, if you feel like you can't keep the sound going at the same dynamic level, quit, breathe, and come back in. What you don't want to do is run out of breath, okay, because then you're collapsing. And the object of the breathing exercise is to train the muscles to support the sound. So let's give it a whirl. Okay, deep breath in and shh. It's not how long you hold it, it's how strong the sound is. Do 3 in a row. Breathe when you have to. Everybody will be different. Everybody's built differently. It's not a contest of wills. You don't have to hold it long. Just strong. Great. You guys are good. Okay. What you start noticing, especially when you line up on an edge, and the name of the game is that your chest is not supposed to collapse, is that you run out of breath pretty fast. And that's okay. That doesn't matter at this point because the only way you're going to stretch those muscles is to get after them. And the only way you're going to get after them is this is one of the major ways, okay? You can do the same exercise using an S sound, okay? Great. Have a seat. You guys are super. Another one that is quite humorous, but I do a lot, so if you hear it any place in the hotel, it's probably me warming up. It's called a lip buzz, And this one is a riot. Looks silly, feels silly, but you know what? It works like a champ. This one is a combination of a breathing exercise as well as a placement exercise, which is the next section we're going to talk about. And it goes like this. Want to try that one? I knew you would. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3. That's great. You guys are going to be on tape doing this. Isn't it fun? Ooh, yeah. You can go home and say, that's me. Yeah. Okay, now what is this silliness about? Well, one thing is, if air is not constantly coming up, then your lips don't move. And since air coming up is the whole object of the game, then we don't want any obstruction in the throat. Okay, so this gives you immediate feedback. Because if you get stuck like a motorboat, then something is getting in the way of that airflow. More than likely, it's your throat muscles or your tongue or something like that. Did anybody in here play an instrument like a clarinet, okay, or a trumpet, brass, or woodwinds? Yeah, okay. Forget the embouchure. Get rid of it. It will kill you on this one. No embouchure. For you that don't know what that is, looks something like this. You got to create pressure in your mouth. It's kind of like you look like you're grinning. Okay? Because what you want to do is you don't want the. In this case, we want all the air to come right up around our lips. Yeah, the more goofy you look, the better. Okay, on this one, really. So if you're looking in the mirror to see if you're doing it right, you shouldn't see any maniacal grin. You know, if you look like you just escaped from someplace, it's wrong. All right. If you look like the village idiot, it's probably right. I know you guys wanted to look good, right? Well, forget it. Okay. And what you could, basically what this does, it does two things. It'll feel when it's right, like the pitch is right up underneath your upper lip. You can make the silliest noises like this, but what it does is it loosens you up, it warms you up, it uses the cords without putting any pressure on them. It's actually a vocal therapy exercise that's used on voices that have been damaged. I've also taught vocal therapy, and sometimes people have overused their voices, you know, or coming back off of surgery. Maybe they had nodes removed or something like that. If it's not too severe, this is one of the exercises that's used, and I use it all the time because I think it's real effective. Okay? What you can do is use any pitches you want, but what also is kind of a kick is if you have a certain piece that's giving you problems, you can lip buzz it. Okay? And I thought just for kicks, since we all happen to know America the Beautiful, we might just lip buzz America the Beautiful. Isn't that going to be fun? You don't look excited. You just don't look excited about this. Okay. Let me see if I can find a medium key. We're going to talk about adaptation in a minute because we've got to find a key that everybody can maybe handle. I don't know, but let's see. Mend down an octave if you want. That's too low, isn't it? Is it comfortable? You okay? All right, you ready for this? We're just going to do a little of it, but let's lip buzz America the Beautiful. You will see what I'm talking about breathing. Why don't you stand up so you really get a chance at this? Oh, they're thrilled. Thrill a minute. I paid money for this. Yeah. Okay, here we go. How's that feel? Isn't that wild? Oh, they love it. Go for it. Now watch what happens here. You're going to love this. Breathe whenever you need. Yeah. Oh, you guys are great. You guys are great. Sit down. That was wonderful. Yeah, applaud yourselves. That was super. I'm impressed. You guys are really out there. Okay. What did you notice? What did you notice? Anything? What did you notice?
It takes some work to keep it going.
It does, doesn't it? It takes a lot of work to keep it going. Doesn't it? Yeah. Because all of a sudden your lips stop moving and, you know, you get the The starting engine quits. And that, believe me, what that's about is that your breath support is not constant when you're singing. Okay? So you can lip buzz your pieces. Believe it or not, your songs that you're working on that are giving you problems, I would do it. And I would use it as a warm-up. It works real well. Okay? Oh, I'm going to check my notes, make sure I'm covering everything. Lip buzz. Another one is to take a balloon. How many people have blown thousands of balloons up for parties and absolutely died doing it? Okay. I'm going to show you a handy-dandy trick so it'll never happen again. Seriously, I blew 40 balloons up and did not get lightheaded. But I'm kind of windy, but there you go. Okay. What you learn to do is to exhale into a balloon. And what you experience when you do it right is you really can feel that lower pelvic muscle pulling. It is painful sometimes. It's very revealing. What you do is you take the balloon and you put it in your mouth real loose. Don't squeeze it with your fingers. Just let them touch the neck of the balloon gently. Put a little bit of air in the balloon. Inhale through your nose. Start to exhale a little bit. And then instead of blowing your brains out like you usually do, go... I know you're looking at me like I'm nuts. You exhale. You will feel an incredible feeling down in the pelvic muscle. For most people, you won't be able to blow the balloon up. That's okay. It's not about blowing the balloon up. It's about feeling or experiencing where that lower muscle is. And I guarantee you, if you start exhaling into the balloon, you're going to feel it. Now, the trick is to keep your lips on the balloon. Okay, and you just... Okay, now I grew this extra big so y'all could see it. I did. What are you laughing at? Okay, so watch here. Here we go. Okay, what you really want to do is to feel that muscle. The idea is to feel these two hook up so that you feel that muscle go in and the air comes out instantly without anything in between. We're doing a throatectomy here. No throat muscles, no impedance, nothing in the way. Directly out. All right, you can even try that, just exhaling. As if that lower muscle is pushing the air out, because guess what? It is. Okay? All right. Next section is placement. Placement. Anybody heard the term forward placement? Focus. Focus, yeah. Ringing. Point. 2800. Any terms like that? Put your voice in your head voice, chest voice, middle voice. Okay. All right. Okay. Here's the deal. Placement is a constant thing. You always want the voice in the same place. This is going to make you crazy. Where do you want it? Anybody want to take a guess? Chest? Head? You're close. Face. You're closest. How about right here? Mask. Anybody heard of mask? Singing in the mask? Okay. Oh, bless your heart. Okay. Yeah, it's as if, Tonto and the Lone Ranger have shown up and you got the mask here. And that's where you want to feel it. Why on earth would you feel it there? Here we go, anatomy lesson number 2. Dristan commercial side view. Okay. You ever seen the Dristan commercials? Okay, picture that in your mind. Here's the top of your throat. Goes up into your nose. Part of it goes in your mouth. And here's where lots of folks get into trouble. What we really would like is for the sound to come up, and there's this thing called your soft palate. Anybody know where that is? Top of your throat, absolutely. It's where the little uvula hangs down in the back. Now you know what that's called. Yeah, it hangs down. Now imagine that you're looking in the mirror for a minute, and you're taking a slight inhale. And your uvula goes up, doesn't it, so that you can't even see it. Do you realize how high up that soft palate stretches? Basically on the side, it goes up that high. In fact, it creates so much space in there that you could put a softball. Not baseball, softball. Is that wild? So when people tell you have holes in your head, you do. You do, okay? It's created up behind, in this area behind there. Now, is it circular like a softball? No. But that's how much space is available to you. All right? If you know how to use it. So what we do, with some of these breathing exercises and some of the idea of relaxing. At the very beginning of a yawn, when you first get the impression you might yawn, or even when you first feel like you just might go ahead and sneeze, okay, everything opens up and it feels real open and comfortable. And then you yawn and everything tenses up, okay? It's the beginning of that yawn or the beginning of that sneeze that we're interested in, okay? So if you can kind of close your eyes and imagine. If I talk about it, you'll do it. Yeah. In fact, if I go, oh, my gosh, I'm tired. Oh, we got one back there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, think about that for a minute, because what you're going to feel is you're going to feel yourself open up. You're going to feel everything just sort of drop open. The soft palate's going to go up all by itself. You don't have to hold it up. You don't have to make it go up. In fact, if you try to hold it up, you're going to get Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties. Hi, now. Ha. Pee Wee Herman. Ha. You know, which really is to be avoided, believe me, for many reasons. Pee Wee, too. But anyway. Oh, I have to be tasteful, don't I? Oops. Okay. So what we really want is that soft palate to rise, okay? And when it does, now if you picture that, kind of like you've got a space right in the center of your head, the sound is going to resonate in there. So the vibrations of the sound are going to come not just out the front and not just out your mouth, out of your whole head all the way around, because sound waves travel in circles. So actually, you can still hear me, well, even when I'm not on a mic, you can still hear me this way. Okay? If you ever watch these crazy opera singers, at least the ones that are somewhat interesting, they will actually turn away from the audience on occasion instead of trying to sing like this. You seen them? I hate that. But what happens is you can actually turn all the way around backwards, and the sound waves are still coming. All right? It's just that this is a harder surface. We have feeling here, much less feeling back here, so we sense it more in the front. You can actually feel vibrations in your face, and a way to feel that is to hum. Hmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Hmm. Or something we call a siren. Hmm. Put your fingers right on that eye socket bone and go. Hmm. Feel slight vibration. We're not talking big stuff here. We're talking. Don't get excited, just... That's what's so hard about this. Some of these feelings that we're talking about are this big and everybody's looking for this, So part of it is you're actually experiencing it and you don't have the faintest clue you got it. That was it? Gee. And I paid money for that. That's the vibration. That's the area that we want to feel the resonance, okay? That's the spot. Now this is confusing because I just used the word resonance, didn't I? And I promised that was going to be something different. Resonance and placement in this instance are pretty much the same. Placement of the voice, allowing it to float up into the soft palate and vibrate and resonate up there, is all you have to do to get placement. Okay? Now, the other side of the coin is resonance, and it's the variable in the group. Okay? The way you support from the diaphragm is the same. You will feel it more on certain notes and less on other notes. Actually, it takes more air to sing a low note than it does to sing a high note. Why? Because your vocal cords are looser on the low notes, and they're tighter on the high notes. So you actually have more resistance on a high note. So all the more reason not to blast your way up to a high note. Take it easy, all right? But God takes care of that for you. I promise you. The vocal cords do what they need to do. You just say, I'd like this pitch. I'd like this vowel sound. Thank you. Cords handle it. Done. Done deal, if you don't mess with it, okay? So breathing is a constant. Placement is a constant. Resonance is the variable. That's the head, chest, middle that you've been hearing so much about. Okay? And resonance is additional space. Let's think of it that way. That you can create. Your mouth space can change, right? Mine just does a lot since I'm standing here. It's open, it's shut, it's open, it's shut, it's open, it's shut. But part of this, and I don't want to get too into this, but part of it is allowing your tongue, the back of your tongue, to relax and be wide and flat in the back. Not depressed. Okay? Let's not think in terms of tongue depressor here. Relaxed and wide. And the more space you create that way and the more lift you feel in the soft palate or just space Cold air is another way to translate that. If you feel cold air back there, it's probably open, okay? And the more of that space that you can create, and the less of this you do, and by this, I'm dropping my chin on my chest. Okay? On a high note, you don't need to do that. Do you need to drop your jaw? Yes. This is your jaw. Jaw hinge is located back by the ear. Okay, that's a totally different experience than dropping your chin. You drop your chin for a high note, the back of your tongue arches up, and you get... That was its loveliest extreme. Okay? If you leave it alone, you can just feel that. Just take a breath. Does that feel good? Why would you want to do anything else? Why would you want to cause pain? You don't need to. Okay? Just some little things to talk about. Now, obviously, from some of this stuff I'm mentioning, it probably would be a real good idea to get with a coach or a teacher. Or, if you have a family member that you don't have an ego problem with, or a peer, or a colleague, or I don't care, just somebody who can be another ear for you, I would strongly urge you to do that. Okay, because some of this stuff, now here's the trick. Where are your ear canals? Yeah, they go right into that space we're talking about vibrating in, don't they? So guess what? Your ear is going to be distorted. I hate to tell you. What you hear is not what we hear. In fact, the more focused or forward the placement gets, the more shrill it will seem to be to your own ear, because the sound will be further away from you. If you hold it in and make it woofy, I love that. I love that. Inside my head, it sounds marvelous and big and full and rich. It's kind of stinko outside, isn't it? It's like, what, huh? Mush, okay? The problem is, I hear it all and you don't. If I do, that seems very soprano-ish. Excuse me, sopranos. Soprano-ish to me, very or thin or whatever. But outside, it's a much better sound to listen to. You can actually recognize the vowel sound possibly. Okay, because the sound had to come out and around to my ears. All right? Now, that's a hard one to put up with. So that's why you need that other ear, because you really, honestly, trust me, I do it all the time. I have students come in, we tape their lesson. They do something that's really stunning, and I say, oh, God, that was great. That was wonderful. And they're going, I hated it. It was shrill. I say, let's listen back to it. It's wonderful. I said, did that sound to you the way you thought it was going to? No. Tape yourself. That's another one. Tape yourself. You'll be shocked. Okay? I mean, it might be good. Good shocked. Okay? All right. I don't want to run out of time here. Okay. Any questions so far? You're scared again. Yes. Let me get you on mic here. If I can. I may not be able to.
My name is Don Coy. I'm from Brooklyn, New York now. But I want to say, when you breathe real deeply, that sometimes it'll make you dizzy, right? Is that correct? If you're not breathing properly.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, if you chest breathe real big time. Okay? Yeah, you can get a real buzz. You really can. And oftentimes when we're doing the lip buzz, and in fact, I call it the lip buzz for that reason. Because oftentimes students, when they're first doing it, what 9 times out of 10 is the problem on that one is that you are over-breathing. You are breathing air. You are making the mistake. Now, that brings up a good point. Here's a distinction for you. Breathing is muscular. Air happens to be what we breathe. If you're underwater, what are you going to breathe if you have to? Water. We're not too bright about that. When you got to breathe, you have to breathe. You'll breathe whatever happens to be there. Air is what we happen to breathe, okay? But breathing in itself has nothing to do with air. It has to do with muscle movement. So breathing is muscular. It is not air. So if you are thinking about getting as much air in your body as you can, if you're doing the Hoover vacuum, while you're singing, you're going to kill yourself, and you're going to get a major buzz. And what happens is you've overloaded the system, and so half the air comes charging back out anyway. So what you do, let me put it to you another way. Y'all talk a lot? Oh, yeah, I can tell. Yeah, right. I think you probably do, right? When you start talking, do you know how long you're going to talk? Most of the time we just talk and talk and talk, and I could just keep talking, and I have no idea how long I'm going to do it. Half the time I don't know what I'm going to say. Okay? Do I run out of breath? Rarely. How can that be? I sing and I just decide I need this amount of air and I breathe and I go full tilt. Forget it. Why don't you sing the way you talk in that respect? You don't need a lot of air. You need a lot of muscle control. You don't need a lot of air. They're not the same. So if you're sucking air like crazy, okay, you're going to get a buzz because basically you're hyperventilating. Okay? Any other questions about this part of it? Because we're going to do big questions later. Did you have one?
You talked about it sounding shrill to us when we're doing it. However, usually we're practicing with our speakers. Do you recommend that or not?
That's a good one. When you are practicing, and we're going to talk about that too, when you are practicing just for you, okay, when you're just having your practice time, do not use your speakers to work on your voice. When you're working on your presentation and other things, yes, absolutely use your speakers, all right? But you'll find the better your voice gets, the stronger your voice gets, you'll see differences in your speaker work as well. So you probably would want another set of outside ears for that as well, okay? Because you might get a little stronger and you might start having to turn your amp down a little bit. Yes?
I understand as you get a little older.
Yes?
The vocal cords lose their elasticity.
The question... Oh.
Is there any way you can overcome that?
The question was, as you get older, the vocal cords lose their elasticity. Is there any way to get over that? No. But that does not usually kick in until around 70. It looks to me like you got a long way to go. Okay, 70 or 80, really. If you take good care of your voice, you shouldn't have a problem with that. No, and then at that point, there really isn't, no technique in the world can overcome that one. It's just kind of God's way of saying that's enough of that. Okay? All right, now, second section I want to talk to you about pertains more to what you guys have to do. One of the hardest things I noticed when I did a little research into your records and the kinds of things that you do is that you don't have a whole heck of a lot of choice about what range things come in. You sort of have to buy what you buy. And oftentimes you're doing it without being able to hear it. Is that correct? In some cases? Now, I know here you have an opportunity to go in and listen to something before you purchase it. All right, one of the major things you need to do, if you can, is to get with a coach or a teacher. That's the only way to go if you're going to really take good care of your voice, okay? Doesn't mean you have to go every week. You know, you can just check in periodically, but you are making your living this way, so think about it, all right? It's kind of like not tuning up your car and expecting to drive all the time. A couple things. A coach or a teacher would help you determine what range you are. Now, range does not necessarily mean your high and low notes. There's this big fancy Italian word called tessitura. Do you love this? What it basically means is where the average of the song lies. For example, I might be able to sing F below middle C and F above middle C. Do I want to sing a whole bunch of Fs above middle C? No, thank you. I'd rather sit a little lower and shoot up and, be stunning on my F and get off it. Okay? The tessitura basically is where does the song sit the most? So maybe it sits around middle C. Fine with me. If that's the area of my voice that's the strongest, great. And I can go up for the high note and come down. But if you pick a piece that's not a good tessitura for you, what you'll find is that you're straining for most of the song, even though it fits your outside range. Even though it's between F and F, you're singing D, E, F constantly up at the other end. That's not comfortable, or it's too low, right? So part of that is to decide what your range actually is, or which area of your voice you feel the most comfortable in, okay? And a coach or a teacher will help you with that. If that's not available, which oftentimes it may or may not be, try to sing through the piece. Hum it or lip buzz it or sing through it. I know you want to lip buzz in public, right? Ooh, yeah. But do that before you actually purchase the record, if you have the opportunity to do that, and see how it feels, okay? Don't pick things that you think you might be able to get through. Pick things that feel real easy for you right now, because somebody might come out with that same tune later on, different label or a different caller or whatever, that's more suited for you. Even though you love the song, be smart about it. Don't pick things because you love the song. Pick it because it feels good, okay? Also, you might find a caller or callers whose music, whose records you seem to feel good with. You know, it's kind of like I'm a mezzo-soprano, which is like halfway between an alto and a soprano. So I would not feel real good singing, Whitney Houston tunes because she's a high soprano. So I just know I avoid those things like the plague. All right, but I might feel good singing something else. Stuff that Dee Dee Daughtery does or Debbie feel real good for me. But then some of the male pieces might be too high when I translate them, believe it or not. Okay, maybe some of the things Wade Driver does may not feel real comfortable for me personally. Love the stuff, but it doesn't feel good. Okay, so you want to be smart about that. You know, the other thing that you could, and I know there's a class. I think yesterday at 1:30 there was a music adaptation with Grace. Okay, did they speak about that? About picking pieces that are right for your voice? Yeah. Okay, so there are some courses here that may help you with that too. Style. You guys really run the gambit. You do jazz, you do Broadway, you do some classical, you do all different kinds of style. First thing I would suggest is that you decide, and if you need help, there's probably lots of helpers around.
Please turn your tape over at this time for the continuation of the
family, whatever. Very helpful, aren't they? Yes. In helping you decide what style is really best for you. Okay? Are you better singing jazz? Are you better singing Broadway? Are you better doing country and western? Are you better at the ballad? Are you better at the upbeat? Okay? Does this mean your whole program exists of that? No way. No. It just means that the majority of your pieces should be in that style. Simply because that's your bag. That's what you do best. And you always want to show what's best. Don't show people your flaws if you can help it. Okay? So pick the majority of your program in the style that works best for you. And then, yes, please explore other styles. And it does not mean that you're stuck in that style for the rest of your life. If you're working with a coach or teacher or you're just working on your own with your tape recorder, you can learn that style. There are some tips and tricks to do different styles. Okay, in jazz, for example, you would hold the vibrato occasionally. Okay, you wouldn't do that in country and western necessarily, but you'd put a twang in it if you're doing bluegrass. And to put a twang in it, you raise your tongue slightly so it's slightly nasal. Okay, that's pretty much what you would do. Because I sing all the different styles too. I started off in jazz, and then I did country for a while, and I love bluegrass. Don't shoot me. And then I'm now a classical and opera singer. Figure that out. And again, I think yesterday with Jack Berg, there was Working with Music. Anybody go to that one? Yeah? Did they talk about that? About the various styles? Or something like that? No? Okay. Okay, never mind. All right. Okay, the third section, big section that we need to talk about is practice. How many people honestly practice? Bless your hearts. You guys are great. I wish my students in college would do that. Okay, one part of practicing is vocal exercises, really working on your voice, your breathing and your placement, and warm-up exercises, determining warm-up exercises that work for you. Another thing is presentation. And I believe today at 1:30 there's a showmanship class. I don't know. You might want to check that out if that's a problem for you. Okay? But that's as much of it as anything else. Your presentation, people do look up occasionally, or if they're sitting down during a break or something, they're watching you. And don't think they don't see you. They do. All right, so working on your presentation. And one of the things you have to do is you have to practice that as well. So when you asked about using your speakers, yeah, I would. I'd practice with my speakers and see how I'm coming across. I might even practice in front of a mirror. And if you think it's not attractive, they're looking at that. So if it makes you uncomfortable, imagine what it does for the dancers. So maybe you need to look at yourself a little bit and see how you look on stage. All right? Because remember, it's a whole package. It's a whole package deal. All right? And the third thing is mic technique. There's a whole different way of using a mic when you sing than when you don't use a mic. Okay? And there are different types of mics. Now, you guys don't ever have to worry about not using a mic. I do. All right? Because in opera, there is no miking. It's all a la carte. But for you You do have to worry about it, and your equipment is real important. I don't have to tell you that. So that's all part of your practice. That's the whole package deal, and you need to do that. All right? Now, what I'd like to do, if I could get some help up here, I have some handouts. Anybody want to volunteer up here? Don't rush. Okay, let's separate these out a little bit. You take it back. You guys are so polite today. So, let me take this group and just sort of spread them around. Okay, what I'm coming out with is a vocal tip sheet. Okay? This is the Bible according to me. What this is it covers all different sections, okay? It has if you have nasal, postnasal drip, what you should do. These are non-medical things that you could do to help you a little bit. If you don't have one, raise your hand. Maybe they'll get to you over here. Everybody got one? Did you get one? Yeah? Okay. Throat congestion. If you've got throat congestion, some suggestions, because when you're on the road, these things happen. I know. And hotels and airplanes are really dry. I'm about to die up here. Are you guys thirsty? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, and that dryness affects your voice. No question about it. And when you're doing, a 2-hour gig, it can get hot. It can get dry. All right? These are some suggestions. In the first section, those of you that have... Everybody got one now? No, up here. Got some going over here. And in the back, let's see. There's one back there, I think, we need. Oh, you got it? Okay. Everybody set? Okay, and I'll take the leftovers up here. Okay. In the first section, I also mentioned that at this point, vocal exercises like the lip buzz and siren do help you warm up a little bit there and get some of that nasal drip. Why would that work? Because we're resonating right there. And when you do the lip buzz or you do the siren, you're going to get what I call a slideshow. Okay? That stuff will move. Okay? And you want to kind of do that. What I sometimes will do if it's really bad is I'll get up and drink something hot. Okay? Hot coffee or hot tea or something. And then I'll do some exercises, lip buzzing and siren while I'm walking around or in the shower or whatever. And then, sing a little bit. And if it's really bad, I'll drink something more hot. And maybe later on I'll try again. And it might be an all-day ordeal to get myself really open. Okay, but it works. It does work. Second section, throat congestion. Really gross. Really gross. But put a little bit of vinegar in your salt water. Really gross, but does it work? The vinegar cuts through the phlegm, and the salt will heal. Okay? But it's pretty disgusting, I will just tell you that. And the sigh, stuff like that. Humming, or even just use your voice anyway. Okay, and staccato. Anybody know what staccato is? Just sort of short. So you could even staccato your piece. That'll be a trip. Yes. What do I consider very hot water? So for you, individually, so it does not burn you. Okay? It really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It just as hot as you can stand it without burning yourself. Yes? Not the vocal cord. Is caffeine bad for your vocal cords? It is not bad for your vocal cords. It is not great for the rest of you. Okay? What I mean by that is oftentimes caffeine will cause a slight tightening of the muscles in the throat and a slight shaking. You ever get that little buzz, that little shaking buzz from caffeine? Okay, it also tends to create a little tension in the throat area. See, are any of these things really horrible? No. But when they add up, yeah. And especially when you've got a big, big gig, you want to be careful. Some people, caffeine doesn't bother them a bit. I can't get near it with a 10-foot pole. If I have a cup of coffee, you don't want to be around me. I'm happy all day. Too happy. Yes? Is it better to drink something hot or something cold when you're calling? If the room is 110 degrees, I would drink water that does not have ice in it. Okay? Cool. Again, down here you'll see as you look through, there's a section about ice. Do not use ice. Don't drink things that have ice in them because ice causes a real tightening of the throat muscles. So in that instance, I mean, basically it's better to drink something hot. But let's get real. I mean, sometimes it is just too hot in the room to do that. Just drink it without ice or let it sit for a while till the ice melts. Cool is fine. Cool is fine. Okay, just avoid ice. Okay. Alcohol. Smoking. I see a lot of that going on around here. Okay. I don't need to give you a lecture about that, and I won't. I will simply say, if you're serious about a major career, do not smoke. Okay? Other than that, it's up to you. But it is probably one of the most damaging things for as many different reasons as possible. Even occasional smoking. It irritates the vocal cords. It blisters them. It puts nicotine on them so they will not touch properly. But, you know, you have to do what you have to do. Okay? Here's a real good one, number 6. Yeah. Try that on an airplane. Some of these cannot be avoided, okay? Let's be real. You can't avoid extremes in temperature. All right? Sometimes it's freezing outside. You're on a really hot airplane. You get off and you go out in the cold and you get back in. This is simply for you to understand that it does create a problem. And so maybe what you need to do before your performance is to get there a little early so you can kind of thaw out, yeah. Or kind of reach a medium point, all right? That's that idea. Swiss herbal candy, I have found it in Safeway. I think John Marshall has a personal supply, so you can kind of catch him. There's a couple people running around that pretty much everywhere. But Safeway carries it in big bags, yellow. That's one of the best. I can't remember the name of the brand, but there's vitamin C is real good too. Now, health food stores would carry it too, but it's not exclusively a health food store product. I've seen it in Safeway and Drug Fair, and it's not Drug Fair anymore, whatever it is. Rite Aid, yeah, Kmart. I mean, you can find it just about anywhere, I think. All right, just Tic Tac. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you. I just haven't noticed that it lubricates very well. Okay. Now, what I have said here is to avoid Halls and Victors, or any product containing eucalyptus. And the reason is that eucalyptus causes a slight swelling of the vocal cords. Again, is this a major big deal? No. But if you eat those things like candy, you're gonna experience a little problem with it. It clears your nose out beautifully. But guess where it all goes? Kidding. Okay, now very important, number 9. Okay, I don't usually recommend over-the-counter products that much, okay? But please read number 9. Please read the very important. Some people have this. Coricidin is one of the worst things on the market. I will say that. I will go on record as saying that. I will go on tape as saying that. It has been proven to cause vocal hemorrhaging in the vocal cords. I would not use that product for anything. All right. There are other products. Now, some people may use chlortrimeton and not have a problem. Somebody else might use it and have some hemorrhaging. Whatever works for you. Part of it is determining with your doctor what over-the-counter products are best for you to use, what are safest, because everybody's different. Everybody's body's different. So for me to kind of stand here and say, this is what you should use, somebody's going to use it and have a problem. All right? So try it out and see how it works for you. And if you're excessively dry or excessively drowsy or any of these weird side effects, stop using it. Check with a doctor. Okay? Number 12, practice. Okay? It makes all the difference in any performance. Okay. Questions? Okay, the question is if you've had a lot of gigs in a row and you're feeling raspy and you have to perform some more because you can't afford to take off, what's the best strategy? The day of or the day you finish, okay, let's say you've got a job tonight and you've got another one tomorrow night. From the minute you finish that job tonight, your mouth is closed. You don't make another sound until you warm up. This works for me. You try not to, okay? You try not to talk. You give yourself vocal rest as much as you can, all right? I would drink warm or hot liquids that whole day. I would rest as much as I could. There's really not much else you can do. If you find, and this is important, if you find that you have a delay in your phonation, you love that? Isn't that fancy? If you start to sing and nothing comes out and then it comes out a second later, there's something wrong with your vocal cords. And that's God's way of saying you better knock it off. So, if that's the case, if you are hoarse or beginning laryngitis, please, if at all possible, do not sing. Because when you sing with swollen vocal cords, you can permanently damage them. They're pretty hardy, but they are two little membranes. Just two little membranes, flaps of skin. You damage those, they're gone. You can't replace them. So maybe, it depends on how you look at it. You know, maybe a night off of work is better than losing it for the rest of your life. I don't mean to scare you. It's not a scare tactic, but it has happened. Vocal cords can atrophy. I mean, you can do some permanent damage. So you kind of have to be smart about this. If it's slight raspy, it's probably just the dryness. I mean, there's lots of different reasons. Maybe you have allergies. Okay, so again, another reason to work with a doctor on this one. You know, kind of determine if you have that kind of a situation. But I would do as much vocal rest as I could, and I'd warm up with a lip buzz. Yes.
And for those of us that spend 75% of our daytime job on the telephone?
Oh. There's nothing you can do. I mean, I know. We have day jobs. There's not much we can do. That's the recommendation. You have to use it. Maybe you call in sick that day. I knew that was going to go over real well, you know, or you take a half day or whatever. You have to see, you know what your situation is, and you have to do what you have to do. Now, if you got 3 more nights, maybe that day off would do you good. Depends on how nice the boss is. Now, if it's going to create problems at work, you can't do that. You can do, you can only do what you can do. I mean, I would take a day off if I could. Oh, warm-up. Okay, thank you. Would I explain what a warm-up is? Okay, warm-up, for me, I kind of make a routine out of it. I always start with breathing exercises like I showed you. Shh or sss, just to get my body, just like if you're going to go running, okay? You don't just go out and run. You stretch the muscles, you get them warmed up, okay? And that literally is what you need to do. These are muscles, after all. There's only one bone in your entire neck, and it's back here at your spine. And all the rest is nothing but muscle. Some cartilage, but it hangs, okay? So what you have to do is you have to warm up the muscles. You can actually physically do it. I'm going to put the mic down for a minute. Now, y'all don't laugh at this. All right. This is one of the things you can do, and this is a trip. We were just making faces at each other, quite amazingly. All right, that's the beginning of it. Then I would do some lip buzzing, some sirening. If you have specific exercises that have been given to you, by a teacher or whatever, I would go into those, Yes.
If you have congestion also, a little bit, right in between your eyes here, you'll feel a little indentation slightly. And if you have some congestion, press there for a few moments, or also underneath your eye, acupressure. This is acupressure technique. And you can do this just slightly under your eye. You'll feel a little indentation in there. Press in there, and that will relieve some of it. It may look silly, but have your partner or someone, if you really want, if you have any other problem, tickle your nose with a piece of paper or something that will tickle the inside of your nose. It will cause your nose to run. It will cause your nose to run. You can't do it with your finger. It has to be something very fine, like a little, not necessarily Q-tip. Sometimes like a sugar packet at a restaurant. You kind of fold it and make a little corner out of it and tickle the inside of your nose. That will relieve some of the congestion also. So some of those techniques will work, and the massage works very good too. I used to go to a barber. I used to go to a barber when I had congestion. And for you fellas, you go to a barber and ask for a facial. And it works great. He'll free you up in no time.
I want to know where this guy is. The barber. Will they? That's great. Thank you. Yeah, that's part of this pressing is that's the idea. Exactly. Anything to press on the sinus areas. Okay, any more questions? Yes. How long of a warm-up exercise should you do? That varies per person, all right? Before I have a performance, I may go for 45 minutes. But I'm doing a different kind of singing. It varies. I would say a minimum of 15 minutes. I would say a minimum of 15 minutes of warm-up. You can lip buzz through your songs also to help you, to help you memorize and things like that. You can do that as well. Let me just catch him, and then I'll come back over to you. Somebody over here? That's all. Oh, there we are. Projecting your voice when you're speaking. Basically, the same technique that's used in singing is the same technique that's used in projection. So if you learn to talk from your diaphragm, you don't have to yell to project your voice. Okay? Projecting, it all has to do with how coordinated you get those three things we talked about. The more coordinated you get the breathing, the placement, and the resonance, the more natural, easy projection you get. That's not going to be a problem. But that coordination is a little like a three-ring circus, and it takes practice. Oh yeah, that's the other one, yeah. Yeah. All right. That's another, okay, he's talking about counting exercise and fingers. All right, you asked for it. Yeah, there is a counting exercise where you just take a breath and you start counting in denominations of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breath, go to 30. Breath, go to 40, 35. Up increments of 5 each time. What you want is a strong, firm sound. I don't want you yelling, but you can't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Won't work, okay? And you work your way up, okay? The fingers in the mouth, when we talked about keeping the tongue relaxed and flat, I wasn't necessarily going to get into this, but you can take your fingers or a spoon, a teaspoon. Now, this is not to be used as a tongue depressor. But what you want to do is get some feedback, because most of the time you're doing things and you don't know what you're doing. You can't tell. You put your fingers between your teeth, okay, and then you sing on an ah, or ah, a, e, o, oo, or whatever. And the object of the game is to not slime up your fingers with your tongue. So if your tongue is doing one of these, you're going to get slimy fingers, okay, which is not really wonderful. So that's a pretty good incentive not to do that. The spoon is even worse, because you take the spoon, spoon side up, just like you were going to eat off of it, and you just sit it on the middle part of your tongue. Just sit it. Hold the end, okay? Don't use it as a tongue depressor, and then try to sing I, O, and see what happens. Because 9 times out of 10, when you hit E, whammo, that spoon goes shooting up and cracks you right in the top of the throat, which is another good incentive not to do that. So you learn to create more space, okay? It's kind of a kick. And you can also sing your pieces, your songs, on an ah with that in your mouth, if you're really brave. Yes? How long in advance before the dance can you warm up and have it still be effective? It depends on you. Sometimes I'll warm up and 3 hours later I'll sing. But there are days when I can't do that. I think the voice changes every day. Depends on how much sleep I got, how much water I drank, how nice everybody was to me. You know, that kind of stuff affects my voice. So there are some days when I can do that. There are days when you wake up and you are so fabulous you can hardly stand yourself. You know, have you had one of those? Of course you did. Of course you have. And then there are days you get up and you can't do anything right. I don't know what, it's like an alien has crawled in here, okay? So on those days, I would warm up right before I sang. It varies. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but it's true. And what the main point here is that I'm not really a guru, okay? I'm an information booth. And what your job is to take what works for you and decide what works for you, okay? And with any teacher, that's the idea. No teacher has the answer or can make you a singer, nor do you make them a teacher. Don't let them pull that one either. But the idea is that you take what works and you throw the rest out. Okay, you try everything. And if it doesn't work for you, you say, hey, I tried this and it didn't work. Or if you have questions and a teacher gets kind of bent out of shape about the questions, find another teacher. If they can't answer your questions, if I can't answer a question, I'll look you right in the face and say, you know, that's a good question, I don't know, but I'll find out. Okay? Because that's the way it needs to be. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to. Okay? But I'll look it up. I'll find out. All right? So you have to take the same responsibility. Everything's different. Your own individual practice routine will be your own individual. Okay? A teacher might say to you, you need to practice an hour a day. Well, that may fit in your lifestyle and it may not. It may work for you and it may not. Sometimes too much practice can be just damaging because you're practicing your mistakes. All right, if you're not practicing the right way, you might be practicing your mistakes, and that's going to be more harmful than good. So it's individual. How are we doing? We got 3 minutes. Yes. Yeah. The question was, should you use numbing products like chloroseptic? Absolutely not. You should not. Okay? Pain is an indicator that there's a problem. And by numbing the pain, you are not solving the problem. You are simply masking it. Okay? So I absolutely would say not to. Have I done it? Yes. I have. Okay? Am I proud of it? No. No. No, because what happens is it may get rid of the problem for you, but you don't know what's actually going on in there, and so you could actually damage yourself. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They really are. Chloroseptic, and what's that? Cepacol. Yeah, anything that gives you that numb feeling in the back of your tongue, I really wouldn't. I just wouldn't. Sucrets. Yeah, same deal. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay.
We went to him one time and we asked him about laryngitis. I had it real bad.
Uh-huh.
And he suggested getting
Jalapeno pepper.
and a certain kind of coffee. Hot coffee and large pepper. Coffee.
Okay, the question to help heal laryngitis. Okay, a home remedy or a Mr. Juice remedy for laryngitis is coffee and jalapeno peppers. I wouldn't do that on a dare. Frankly, I would not do that. There is no cure for laryngitis except for an antibiotic, okay, because it's an infection. And I don't care what you put in your mouth. Other than that, it's not going to clear up, okay? I think that grapefruit juice or orange juice will probably irritate you, all right? I would probably just drink a lot of water and I'd go see a doctor.